fifth country, Botswana. So Botswana, we really loved Botswana, and we had a couple of culture shock. So I'll just start with what I love most, food. Guys, when we go to the Botswana border, we got there in the evening, and we had to get some food somewhere on the streets before we go to, we get some accommodation. So we came across this lady at the border with some street food. Oh my God. We just ate totally different things from what we usually eat. Guess what? It was our first time trying out braai. And braai is like a proper steak. You guys, meat, especially beef in Botswana, is of great quality. Just imagine, on the streets, there are some like shallow fried steak, well seasoned. At what price? In Kenya shillings, it's around
300 Kenya shillings for the entire meal plus the pub.
That one is the whole combination. So braai itself is
maybe 200 Kenya shillings.
Yeah, it's almost 200 Kenyan shillings. It's not just steak, it's quality steak that in Kenya you won't find on the streets, by the way. You'll only find it in high-end hotels, and when you just ask for steak or maybe T-bone. You guys, Kenyans, you know how much that costs in Kenya. It's over 1,000 Kenyan shillings. There, we found it at 200 shillings on the streets. We could not even believe it. For meat lovers like me, Botswana is a dream destination because meat is all over. Also, the other thing we tried for the first time was chakalaka. Chakalaka is not very strange to me because I used to watch Food Network, and there is this lady. She's a South African. She used to just cook a lot of chakalaka as she tries to show the world the South African cuisine.
Amazing.
But it was my first time trying it. I didn't think it was that popular that I would just get it on the street. I just thought it was like maybe like oxtail or something that just it's you can only find in specific places. So we just found chakalaka on the streets, and we were like, so I knew that it had carrots, plenty of carrots, but I really didn't know the other ingredients. But I think I like chakalaka.
I loved it.
It made me comfortable, just feel comfortable to eat, what do you call it? Beans. Yes, the canned beans. In reality, I don't even try, I don't even think of tasting canned beans. But in chakalaka, in time.
It was perfect.
And actually, it was one of the most popular vegetable around, because in Botswana, somehow, it's very rare to find green vegetable. From our own experience, we did not eat any green vegetable anywhere. So it was most of the time, it was just chakalaka. Okay, something else we also realized is that people in Botswana and southern African countries generally, they season their meat well, and they love aromat and similar seasonings. Aromat you usually add most of the time, even when before you make the food, or even when the food is ready. It's a seasoning that you just add. So that is why their braai is very well seasoned. They also have a variety of drinks, especially the soft drinks. We really enjoyed the soft drinks there, because in Kenya we have a variety, yes, but we got to try out some new type of, especially the Spaletta variety. Red Bulls, they had like 5 types of Red Bulls. Yes, in Kenya usually we have the blue one.
I've seen only 2, maybe.
Maybe just seen the blue one. Yes, the one with whose can is blue and some silver. There is the apricot. There is what? They're like, I showed it in the video. They're like 5 types, and I actually liked some of them. And then there is another one, Switch energy drink. I'm not a fan of energy drinks, but I think the Switch brand, I was just sold by the Switch brand. I love the Switch brand. There are a couple of varieties of Spallettas and cola drinks. I think I would really enjoy my stay in Botswana if I was to say there. I loved the food. That is what I'm saying. And it was also the first time for us to try their sausage. They call it, I don't know, borrowas.
Yes. Something of that sort.
So we have our different types of sausages in Kenya, but none tastes anything similar to the one we tried in, I think it's in the southern countries, from Botswana, South Africa, and Lesotho.
They were different.
They are different. They even have mayonnaise inside. I've never tried one that has mayonnaise, and the meat feels like, some varieties feel like you'll feel like the meat is a bit aged. It has some slight bitter taste. I don't know whether it's because of the mayo or what, but it's quite different, and it's something very popular for those who do. It's either you take braai or you take the sausage. So that is all about food. So guys, what do you think? If you've been to Botswana, please tell me something about their food, because we were a bit confused, but the further we went south, it became quite normal.
The second culture shock we experienced relates to service. And here I will break it down to two. Public service was actually very efficient. We went to the borders. Border crossing was seamless.
Smooth.
In and out in less than 10 minutes. What took time is clearing the vehicles and checking for the luggages. Now, to customer service, that was quite poor. You see, like here in Kenya, assuming you're a foreigner and you go into a hotel, you don't understand the menu. Sometimes it's written in the local language. You want someone to explain it to you in order to understand whether it's something that you're familiar with. Here, a waiter would take their time to explain that menu to you. But we really had a hard time in several places in Botswana. You would stand in a queue, ask the waiter to explain something to you, and they're saying, "Mom, just order." Already you are keeping people on the line. Now you have to go away and just read the menu again and again. So you see, that was a bit different for us.
Yeah.
Because we are used to...
I don't think they are patient enough.
They're not patient.
And I think most of that is brought about by... Maybe they mostly assume that by the time you're going to the restaurant or the mini-mart, you know what you want.
No, but you're new. How would you know what you want if you're not familiar with their cuisine?
And also maybe there's also the language barrier.
Okay, that's another point.
Accent. Yes, the accent. They do not understand our accent. In fact, most Kenyans think we do not have an accent. We actually do. When we went south is when we realized that we have an accent, because you could talk to someone and then they're like, "Pardon me, repeat that again, madam." And then we're like, I just said it correctly. But the other thing is, the southern countries also have a very strong accent. Do you remember when you had to spell your...
I had to spell my name because we were trying to register for a line for a SIM card. And I had to call the customer service to register. And I was giving her details about my passport number, my name. Now when I was spelling, I was trying to say H.
Okay,
H.
For us, H is H.
It's H. Now them, I was supposed to say H. She hung up on me and said she could not understand my accent.
She had to get a local
to spell my name. Yes. So language barrier, expect that.
This next point just shocked us. The livestock farming in Botswana is a big thing. It's actually a very serious thing. Actually, one of the major exports in Botswana is cattle, or is it?
Livestock products.
Livestock products, yes. So from the moment you just get to their border, you will start disinfecting everything. You'll disinfect your car, you'll disinfect all your shoes, and during the search, they'll ensure you do not carry any kind of vegetable or basically any fresh produce, whether it's the vegetable or meats, into their country. They ensure that all the pests and pathogens are killed or destroyed before you get into their country. So they also do like large scale farming of cattle. In Kenya, you can just find a household has like maybe 2 cattle, 10 cattle at most, but there they do large scale livestock keeping, and it's a very serious thing. So as you travel across the country, you'll get so many checks. They're called livestock checks.
Yes.
I don't know.
Livestock The Ministry of Livestock.
Yes, people from Ministry of Livestock, they check. You keep disinfecting your car and your shoes the entire journey. We came across a couple of stops.
Yes.
Up to 5.
Up to 5.
And each time we would disinfect our shoes. You basically remove all the shoes from your car. You disinfect them. You disinfect your car. That was a culture shock. And that explains why they have quality beef. Even it's very cheap to the locals. As much as they export, it's very cheap to the locals. And to us, it made a lot of sense that these people take livestock keeping seriously. And guys, did you know that it is said that the cattle heads, the population of the cattle heads in Botswana is higher than the population of people? You know, Botswana has a population of 2,000 people.
2 million.
2 million people. But yet their cattle are by far more than that. So when you go there, just follow all the rules. You love the meat. It will make a lot of sense.
Another culture shock we experience in Botswana relates to its nightlife. Now in Kenya, when you go to a nightclub, you'd expect to hear music from... We play actually diverse music. We play local music. We play bongo, which is Tanzanian music, Ugandan music, international music, R&B, what else? And then a mix of amapiano. But when we went to a club in Gaborone, we actually went to two of them.
Mm-hmm.
They played amapiano all night long.
We could not understand.
All night long, we could not understand. We could not relate.
Actually, we listened to amapiano, but not much.
Not that much. Like an entire night of amapiano.
That is different.
That was quite different.
Yeah, I can listen to maybe 2, 3, or 4. Yes. But after that, we can enjoy it. Up. Yes.
Enjoy other people's music.
Yes.
So that was different. The next culture shock relates to dress code.
Okay. Let me just laugh. Okay, I'll tell you I'm laughing. Let her just explain first and then I'll let you guys know.
Official wear, how you describe official wear in Kenya. Maybe you'll find a woman in a suit, a long skirt with a blouse and a blazer. But there we found people going to work with very short skater skirts and a crop top. And someone would be selling things at a shop. And we were shocked.
We could not understand.
We were shocked. We could not understand. In fact,
we
could not understand. And it was on a Monday. It was on a weekday.
Yeah.
You know, Friday you'd expect people to wear casually, but not that, like crop top and
smart
jeans.
There's nothing like smart casual there. It's either casual in capitals, or casual skimpy.
Very short.
We could not understand for sure.
I think maybe we come from a very conservative culture.
Maybe East Africa is quite conservative, as opposed to the Southern Africa. We are quite conservative. Now, we usually cover ourselves like the things we call short, there is
too long.
It's grandma short. Yes, it's what your grandma wears there. Now, when we went to this club, we thought we had dressed well, the way we dress in Kenya for like when you go to like for a jam session. When we got there, we felt like old ladies. It's like, okay, in Kenya we look like Wamama
Chama. We would look like Wamama Chama.
Wamama Chama is like, you see those merry-go-rounds that women usually go to. The way they usually dress, we felt like that. Everybody else was in some very short things. Also, by the way, even people in Botswana don't wear bras. I think it's a Southern African problem.
It's a Southern thing.
It's not maybe a problem. It's like their culture. Now, someone wears a very short thing, a very short crop top with no bra. Nipples are all over, and then a very are those even bikers?
Yes, bikers.
Shorter than bikers.
Shorter.
And she's just there, Nika. And she's twerking properly. And then as we are there, we're like, we don't know what to do with ourselves.
I think we actually had trench coats. I had a trench coat.
It was cold.
I had a trench coat.
It was cold at night.
So you can imagine how overdressed we felt.
Hey, Mazi, that was just very different. but different cultures. It's nice to experience different
that's
cultures.
why we travel.
That's why we travel. There's one thing we concluded, maybe it's because, you know, when you were traveling through Botswana, a big chunk of Botswana is mostly covered by Kalahari Desert, even though Kalahari Desert is also shared by Namibia. But the heat in Botswana is mostly, I think it's because of the Kalahari Desert. We knew it would be hot, but we didn't think it would be that hot. Let me tell you guys, Botswana is quite hot. Maybe that is an explanation why people wear very, very light clothes, very skimpily, because the heat itself, it can get quite unbearable. You'll literally be looking for ice cream all over the town. And thank God there are those popsicles all over. They are quite cheap and Kool-Aid. Very delicious. Very, very sweet. So that makes a lot of sense. So when you're traveling when you're traveling through Botswana, just consider your dressing code. Wear something a bit light. It will get really hot. Have enough water. And also because of the desert, I think there are so many, we do not see much rivers.
Flowing rivers.
Yeah, I actually can't remember any flowing river. Did we see any?
No.
We did not see any. And there are also, the landscape is just mostly plateau. We could not, okay, we come from a country where you cannot travel for more than 100 kilometers without seeing different landscapes, maybe a hill somewhere, maybe a valley somewhere, a river somewhere, like a plateau somewhere, just a mixture of everything. In Botswana, it's quite plateau. And I guess it's mostly because of the desert. Yeah, so our next culture shock. Guys, you see the way in East Africa there are plenty of border borders. By border borders, I mean the motorcycle taxis. There are no border borders in Botswana. That makes sense. It makes sense. Do you know why? Did you remember how organized their cities are?
Very. Gaborone was
very organized. Very organized. There's no chaos that are usually caused by border borders. People follow the traffic rules. I'm telling you, border borders are very convenient, but they can be a menace.
We were actually told a traffic violation you could pay up to 1,000 pula.
Yes, by the way, guys, when you go to Botswana, there's no negotiation. You'll pay that 1,000 pulas. And just remember, pula is very strong.
Yeah.
It's up to 9. Right now, because the Kenyan shilling is strong,
it's 9.
It's 9. It's 9.
1 pula equals 9 Kenyan shillings.
But when you were there, it was 11 Kenyan shillings. Yeah. Yes, so just ensure you follow all the traffic rules.
One thing we loved about Botswana was that they have great roads. Very nice roads. And their cities are organized. Talk about Francistown, Gaborone. Very modern, organized. In fact, I really loved Gaborone. So dreamy, it's modern. You'd rarely see an ancient building. It was you would think it was recently built.
I think they maintain those buildings well. Okay, the one building I remember, other than the 3 chiefs,
the Digotsi.
Other than the 3 Digotsi and the other building that looks like you can pass through. I don't know what was the name. There's just another building there. It's next to the 3 Digotsi. It's the one that we were told that there is where the diamonds get refined. I remember that building. I don't know it was called what.
I didn't go with you.
But there was that particular building and they just told us, you see in there, there is where the gold gets cut and get refined. And we were like, don't tell Kenyans that. You might wake up with that building empty. But they're disciplined people, so they mine a lot of diamond. It's one of the major exporters of diamond.
Yes.
Even the cut and the uncut diamond, so it makes a lot of sense.
It's a wealthy country.
Yes.
You would actually notice the cars in Botswana.
Oh my God.
Luxury, high-end cars.
Yes.
There is money in Botswana.
You will know that you have arrived to the southern Africa. Money is there.
Money is there. Another thing we observed about women from Lesotho, South Africa and Botswana. Most of them were light-skinned, probably because of intermarriages, the weather. You know,
I don't think that the women, even the
even the men.
men, yes, they are very light skinned.
Okay, actually both.
Yeah.
I like to talk about women. I don't know why.
Anyways, people from Botswana and Lesotho and South Africa, they are very light skinned, and as compared to the other African countries, African communities. Now, I even asked. I asked one of them, and then because from what I could think was, it's either the weather is the one that makes their skin very light. It could either be the weather, or many of them or their ancestors intermarried a lot with the other races, the lighter skinned races, either the Asians or even the Caucasian people. And they told us it's a little bit of both. Yeah, they told us it's a little bit of both, and that made a lot of sense. Now, Adia likes talking about women physical features, because we usually observe the gentlemen and the ladies, but the ladies stood out.
Yes, and my Kenyan brothers.
Not Kenyan brothers.
My international, everyone. All brothers.
All brothers.
From all countries.
Yes.
Now, Botswana, South Africa. How beautiful, curvy women.
Yes.
You might need to...
If you like African features.
Yes.
They are beautiful. I know we are ladies, but I'm telling you guys. Beautiful women.
We were really
curvy.
Curvy, especially the curvy part.
I think Botswana ladies stood out.
Yes.
Yeah, the Botswana ladies stood out.
Or perhaps it was our first encounter. You know, that it was our first time getting there. And the curves we were seeing.
No. Me, I just think those ladies they are beautiful, they are curvy. And they are not afraid of showing it.
Yes.
I told you guys, they leave nothing to imagination.
So, visit Botswana and the south.
Visit the south.
Yes.
We realized that lately, maybe in the past 10-15 years, there have been this wave of blacks embracing the texture of their hair. That is why more people keep their natural hair, curly hair. They keep dreadlocks, especially the black communities, the Africans and the African Americans, or any other communities that are black. So, like in Kenya, 3 out of 10 women has dreadlocks.
True.
I think even in Tanzania and Uganda, there are more women who keep dreadlocks, and it's actually an official look. It's an official hairstyle. Like for me, I go to work with my hair, and it's official. But when we go to the south, especially in Botswana, we could just, like, the entire time we're in Botswana, we stayed there for like 3 days. The entire time, even in the cities, we came across only 3 people with dreadlocks. 2 of them were gentlemen, and 1 was a lady. Now we asked the lady at the reception where we were staying, in the hotel where we were staying, and we asked her, how comes you guys do not have much dreadlocks? And then they told us that in Botswana, if you have dreadlocks, it's a sign of money.
Yes.
It's that for you to make your hair in Botswana, it's quite expensive. Something close to
10,000 Kenya shillings.
Yes, it was almost 1,000 pullers. Yes, to make your dreadlocks, like neat dreadlocks. And then we were like, Kenyans should come here. Like, locticians from Kenya should go to Botswana, because dreadlocks nowadays are some of the cheapest hairstyles in Kenya, because so many people, we have too many locticians. We have so many salons that just offer locking of the hair and all that. So we were like, you mean we've just been walking around and people think we are very rich out there, while in Kenya it's something totally different.
Very common.
It's very common. Imagine people in Botswana prefer doing braids or weaves as opposed to locks. So that is a business opportunity. If you're a loctician, you might just want to go to Botswana.
Yes.
You'll make good money there. Kingdom in the sky, Lesotho. When we were young, we used to call it Lesotho.
Yes, that's how we were taught.
Yes, but we came to realize it's called Lesotho. So let's start with the usual one, food. So, like I told you guys, there is the food that is eaten in Botswana is very similar to the one in South Africa and in Lesotho. So they have braai, they have pork braai, and they have beef braai. They also eat pap, very similar. They also take chakalaka and their special sausage, broas or something. On top of that, they have some delicacies that are just known to be very popular in Lesotho. That is tripe. So me I love tripe anytime. So when we were told that tripe is something that is loved there, I was like, this is the country that I should live in. So we tried their tripe, and it's actually very delicious. You should try it when you go there. Their braai is some of the best we ate in the southern countries. And also they take biltong. It's made from horse meat, so they have horse biltong. So guys, even in Botswana there is biltong. Biltong is usually dried meat, and some of them they spice this, they season the meat before they dry it. Others they just keep it plain. There are a variety of meat. In Kenya we call it alia.
Alia, and it's in one community.
Yes, there is alia, there is nyir.
The Pokot also have it.
Yes, in the Kenyan, the Nilotes, there is alia and there is nyir. It's something similar to that. It's just dried meat. So them they make horse biltong. When you go to the southern countries, please try it. And if anyone is coming from South Africa, Lesotho, or Zambia or Namibia, please bring me biltong. Please. So on top of that, they also have a lot of street foods. When you were traveling to, when we were going to Botswana, we were told that be careful of the meats that are being sold there. Someone told us that they eat cat meat, but when we asked the locals, actually it's on record. One of the locals told us that they don't just eat cats or dogs, they only eat wild cats, specific wild cats. So that one is on record. You can go back to our video and you'll hear that guy telling us that. He's one of the locals. So we were afraid of eating. That is not something we usually eat back in Kenya. So we were afraid of trying out their street foods. But we came to realize that their street foods are mostly goat or beef meat that has been roasted or barbecued, and they are usually in skewers. So do not be afraid of buying. You can just inquire from them which kind of meat is this. But so far we've not had any problem with any street food we've eaten. No, we did not have any problem. So it's from where we stand, it's safe food. Also, they also sell a lot of fruits on the road. You know, Botswana is quite fertile. Lesotho is quite fertile. They plant a lot of fruits, vegetable, corn, all kinds of crops. So there, on the road you'll come across some peaches, some guavas, just so many different types of fruits. Do not be afraid of buying them because they're fine. They're just vendors trying to sell their products. Let's talk about beer. The national beer in Lesotho is Maluti. Maluti beer. It's named after one of their famous mountains, Mount Maluti. So people in Lesotho love their beer. In fact, it was the first time we were coming across a very big beer. It's like almost 1 liter. We had never seen like a bottle of 1 liter beer like ever. Usually in Kenya, it's usually the biggest is 500, or is it 400 ml?
500, I think. 500 ml.
500 ml. There we saw one for 1 liter, and we asked one of the guys who was taking it, one of the locals. We asked him, how can you finish all this? He told us this is nothing. He can take 3 of those any time of the day. They do not have restrictions on when to take their alcohol. So if you love your beer, maybe you are just meant to be one of the locals in Lesotho. They're called Baso. Yes. Basotho. Yes.
Another thing that surprised us in Lesotho is currency fluidity. and that will touch on Namibia as well. Throughout the country, you can use the South African rand. That was quite unusual for us because you would give someone maybe 100 rands and they would give you change as maluti because the conversion is 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And that was a bit unusual for us because you would not expect to use the Tanzanian shilling or the Ugandan shilling. In as much as we are in the East African community, you cannot use either of their currencies in our country.
Yeah.
So that was a bit
different. Yeah. Even in the villages, you'd buy something in maluti and then they give you back maybe a coin in rands. But we were told that maybe it's because the South Africa plays a part in the printing of their money. Yeah, there was something of that sort. But we are not very sure why it's that fluid. It's the same thing that happens in Namibia. Also in Namibia, you can either use Namibian dollars or rands. But when you're in South Africa, you don't use either maluti, pula, or Namibian dollar. You only use rand.
Yes.
Now that is quite different. You cannot talk about Lesotho without mentioning its landscape, topography. Oh my God. Guys, Lesotho is truly the kingdom in the sky. You know, when you get to Maseru, you'll just see a few hills here and there, and the road is a bit flat. But as you go towards the dam where we went to, as you cross the country, you will see very beautiful landscapes, beautiful hills. The roads literally meander around the mountains. You'll get to the clouds and beyond, and you'll still be very much amazed by how beautiful that country is. It's actually one of the most beautiful countries I've been to, and it's one of the most underrated countries in Africa. So if you're African or you love or you come from any other international country other that is not in Africa and you love hills, you might want to go to Lesotho. It is indeed kingdom in the sky, and it has natural beauty. Like, I don't even think if the people really appreciate how beautiful the country is, because from the when we were expressing how beautiful we thought Lesotho was, on the comments some people were like, we are used to it, we don't even realize that other people would really appreciate it that much. Others were saying that we've not had people really showing the good sides of Lesotho, and we were like, to us it was so obvious. Lesotho is so beautiful. You just pass by the road, like next to the road you'd see a very beautiful hill, and then just a stream of water just passes there. We felt like we were in Garden of Eden. It is totally unexploited, and that is what we love, the virgin beauty. So if you go to South Africa, Lesotho is somewhere in there. Just ensure you get that far. We knew it would be a bit hilly, but we didn't think it would be as hilly and mountainous as we saw it. And there are also beautiful valleys. It is literally like Rwanda. If you've been to Rwanda, it's like Rwanda on steroids, literally. And it's very green, beautiful valleys, beautiful mountain formations. I have everything nice to talk about when I talk about Lesotho, especially its landscape. I think the people who appreciate it more are the younger generation, because as we were driving around, or especially over the weekends, we could see there are people who do like picnics here and there in some very beautiful viewpoint. They have a couple of viewpoints. There are also some people who are doing like functions like it's called? Park and chill.
We call it park and
yes, in
chill.
Kenya we call it park and chill. You just park your cars somewhere, you put some music with some food. But the younger generations playing a piano here and there. But they are used to the local people, especially the younger generation traveling in their country, local tourism. But they did not expect people from other countries, like people from international community, like other countries, whether Africa or elsewhere, to come and visit their country. In fact, when we were telling people, we're just going up there to see the mountains, you have a beautiful country, we're going to see the dam, they were like, you came all the way to Lesotho to just see that? They could not understand. So I don't think they're used to seeing international tourists. and maybe that is something they should warm up to, because they have a beautiful country.
People from Lesotho are really kind and friendly and social. At first we were told that they are not friendly, and along the way we tried to talk to some men and they could not talk to us, and we thought that they had a problem speaking to women.
Ladies, yeah.
Now when we encountered the true gentlemen,
The Basotho,
the Basotho men
gentlemen
in the who were wearing the blankets, they explained that probably it was a language barrier and they are very social people. And that kindness we also confirmed with Mankwebe. When we met her in Maseru, she helped us to find accommodation at the church. She was very kind, and we can't thank her enough.
free of charge.
Free of charge. She actually just took her car and drove ahead of us and took us to that church.
Yeah.
Now the second thing is the dress code. If you notice from the video, you see the Basotho men wearing some form of stylish blankets with very nice prints.
Yeah.
Now that's a signature look for them. And apparently those...
You can even Google, by the way,
Yes.
the Basotho blanket.
blankets and a head scarf. What do we call it?
It's a
It's some form of a hat
or a marvin,
or a snood that just covers everything except the eyes.
the eyes and just some bits of the nose. In Kenya we call it mboshori.
Mboshori.
In Kikuyu we
In
call it-
Kikuyu.
yeah, they call it mboshori.
Very stylish. Now it would be common to see them even wearing those blankets even in very hot weather.
And gumboots.
And gumboots.
Yeah. So apparently there are blankets for summer and blankets
For winter.
For winter.
And remember, those prints are stylish. You will not see them everywhere. It's just unique to their country,
Yeah.
which is something beautiful. And apparently when they were writing Wakanda,
Yes.
some concepts was borrowed
from Lesotho.
from Lesotho's culture.
Salute to the Lesotho culture.
Wakanda forever.
I'm telling you.
Now the third point is about the traditional African culture. From the locals we interacted with, we learned that they still practice polygamy, which is being phased out in some other countries, but they still practice polygamy. And from the regions we went up to the mountains, you could clearly see that gender roles are defined.
Yeah.
Women were
Mostly they work in the farms.
and the homesteads,
Yeah.
taking care of children, and the men would take care of the horses,
And the livestock in general. They also pay dowry. Yes. Apparently they pay some hefty amount of
hefty lobola.
they call it lobola.
It's a bit
One of them wanted to marry me, and then he was like, "Your education won't work here. Here you'll work in the farm."
Yes. 50 horses, he said. That is hefty. Back in Kenya, would pay maybe 2 cows.
2?
In my
Which
community, they pay 2
Hey,
cows.
No.
2.
In my community, they pay more. Let's just say in Kenya we have so many tribes, and dowry is different.
Dowry varies.
Yes.
Yes, but not as expensive as I would. 50 horses.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Also, their houses are made of stone, and I think it's because generally Lesotho is quite cold because it's on the mountainous. Most of the houses are on the mountains, and it's quite cold. Remember, Lesotho is one of the few countries that actually snows in Africa. So the stones, I think, the houses are made with stones in such a way that they can buffer the house from too much cold on the outside
and conserve the heat inside.
Yes, their houses are quite unique. They are like huts, but quite unique to the other African huts that we have seen.
Ours are made of
mostly
mud
and maybe
grass thatch and mud.
Maybe some sticks here and there, but theirs is mostly stones, and they are quite short. They're short. I think they build from they like excavate some
from the ground.
Yeah.
We would really want to visit one of the huts in future.
I hope we will.
We will.
One more thing. You see, the way in Kenya, very few people have horses, and it's actually the very rich people have horses, because I think getting a license to rear horses and even maintaining what do you call it, the life, like taking care of horses in Kenya is quite expensive. In Lesotho, literally every homestead has a horse, and not just one horse, a couple of horses. It's even part of dowry. Yes, and it's used, you see the way the cowboys use their horses, they use it maybe for transportation, and also for, it helps them to look after their livestock when they are maybe herding. It's just the same way. And we got a chance to ride on the Basutu horses. They have some sort of gear that covers it focuses its eyes.
Like
just
a mask?
Yes, it's like a mask, just on one direction. It was such a privilege to ride on one. It was my first time riding a horse, and I'm glad I did it in Lesotho. So guys, the moment you get to the border, the border between South Africa and Lesotho, you'll notice the difference in cars. South Africans, most of their cars are mostly either Toyota or European cars. But when you get to Lesotho, you start seeing all Japanese cars. They're literally all Japanese cars, and most of the cars, I would say, I think they import a lot of second-hand cars, as opposed to South Africa. South Africa have new cars. They have new cars, I think, because they have plenty of assemblers, and it's mostly Toyota and European cars. In Lesotho, you'll just see the difference. It's like day and night. They have smaller cars. Most of them, they are old, and most of them are Japanese cars. But of course, there are plenty of bakkies. Bakkies are pickups, because I think for those who are going, if you'll be going towards the mountains, you'll see a lot of pickups, because I think those are cars meant for that direction.
Yes. They can manage the terrain well.
To the land of the brave, Namibia. The first thing we saw when you go to the border is that Namibian people are slightly small-framed as compared to South Africa. They're quite slimmer as compared to South Africa. Remember we said South Africa people are a bit curvy, and they are a bit thick. The African kind of thick, like they are curvy. They are curvy. They are thick in the right places. But now in Namibia they are quite small-framed, and the Namibian people are generally very kind, and for some reason they love Kenyans. I was thinking it's because maybe we helped during the second, we helped them in the second time to get their independence, but maybe they just love us because we are kind people, we are nice people.
Yeah, Kenyans are social. They will fit in anywhere.
Is there a country that doesn't like Kenyans? I don't think so.
We are yet to find one.
We are yet to find one, but they really love Kenyans.
The southern countries share a number of meals. Like in Namibia, you'll also find pap. They call it porridge.
Made from maize flour.
Maize flour. It's a bit lighter as compared to what you would eat in Kenya, and
even in the southern country, it's the lightest.
It's the lightest.
Made from maize flour.
Yes. You'll still find braai. And then they have a signature meat called kapana. It's stripped barbecued meat. Very nice. There's a market we went to and we ate kapana. You can almost eat the entire day. It's that delicious.
Well seasoned. Especially when you eat it with some salsa. Call it kachumbari.
Kachumbari. It's actually the first place we saw salsa.
Yes.
Some form of actual vegetable.
Yes. That is tomato, onions, and
mostly coriander.
Yes, it's mostly tomato and onions and with some pepper. Just what the doctor ordered.
It was awesome. Kapana, awesome. Now, on that matter of food, their water. Namibian water is alkaline. Drinking water. Yeah. It's alkaline. We really struggle to take it. But somehow they're okay with it. They're okay with it.
I don't think they think water should be any different.
Yeah, I'm sure they've never tasted it. But then, if you've gone to South Africa, you must have tasted water from there.
That brings us to the second point. Namibian people do not travel much. Yeah, most of them, even they don't do local tourism is very low.
Yes.
Most tourists and attraction sites are run by international, like international citizens, people from other countries. So they don't travel much.
Yes.
In fact, they even wonder, why would you come to Namibia? Like, go to London where you can see some civilization. Go to South Africa, like Cape Town. Why are you coming to see nothingness in the desert?
Namibia is beautiful. And now on that matter of tourism, most of the attractions are natural. You talk about Sosuvle, you talk about their beaches,
and they're free of charge.
Most of them are free of charge.
Yeah.
You just pay the entrance fee for the national parks, and you'll be able to access all these attractions.
In fact, some of them even share. Once you pay once, you can access so many other attractions.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is, I think, and because of that, I think that is why there are so many tourists there. Yeah. And most of those places do not have accommodation. So you might, if you're traveling you want to tour Namibia, camping is one of the few options you have left.
In fact, when we went to Namibia, we wanted to camp a lot because their campsites are really amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll camp in future. This time we were offered accommodation by one kind. That girl.
I told you guys, Namibians are kind.
Very kind. Thank you so much.
Most of these natural attractions in Namibia are in the desert. For instance, Namib Desert on its own has a lot of sand dunes. There is the Sandwich Harbour. There is Sosuvle.
Dedvle.
There is
Devil's Playground.
It has so many places to see. In fact, in one of the villages that is, I think it's within Namib Desert, is where they got the largest quartz on display. The one I took a photo with, it is in the Crystal Gallery. And these gemstones that they mine from these mountains are also a tourist attraction, because when you go to the Crystal, by the way, when you go all the way to Sokomund, ensure you get to the Crystal Gallery. It's quite a beautiful place to be. You'll be able to understand how they get to mine the crystals. So when you are thinking of countries that produce gemstones, Namibia is one of them. That was a shock. I did not expect that. It was a proper shock for me.
Another shock that we encountered in Namibia relates to security. Now in Kenya, if you've been to Kenya, you would notice that when you go to malls, banks, these social amenities, there are metal screenings, and you would be searched by security officers to see what you've carried. If you are driving in, they would check your car to see if you have any form of weapons. Now, when we went to Namibia, we would just walk into a mall. Nobody's searching you. There are no metal detectors, and we were shocked at first. And we were like, "Oh, how safe?" Even banks.
There are no security guards at the banks. Imagine.
Yes.
Even the ATMs, we were so surprised. But we're not saying that Kenya is insecure. But we've had like terrorist attacks.
Yes.
One or two. That is why we implement that. But Kenya is mostly safe. Like, Kenya is 99% safe. That is what I would say. We are always just fine. But Namibia seems like in Namibia they've never experienced such a thing, so there is no need for that.
It's quite safe. So for us walking into we are very used to being checked.
Yeah.
So walking into a mall and nobody's checking you, we were quite surprised.
For me, it's not even the mall, the bank.
The bank.
Yeah. How comes there are no security guards at the bank and the ATM?
It's probably one of the safest countries
around.
Yes.
Because you go to the desert and you're not afraid.
You can camp anywhere, actually.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of lay-bys. Now, getting into towns in Namibia, they are very sparse. You would drive for hundreds of kilometers without encountering any town.
But you can just camp anywhere.
But they have lay-bys, a lot of them. You can just park your car there, you sleep, or maybe camp anywhere.
And you'll be fine.
That's how safe it is.
In Namibia, it's generally hot, I would tell you. Especially the southern side, it's quite hot when you go towards South Africa. I think there is where it's closer to Kalahari Desert. But we were surprised that when we got to Windhoek was hot. But when we were driving towards Swakopmund, you know Swakopmund is next to Atlantic Ocean. You have to pass through Namib Desert. What if you think of a desert? What do you think in your head?
Excruciating heat.
Heat. But guess what? Namib Desert is not as hot as you think. In fact, Windhoek is much hotter than Namib Desert. When we were crossing Namib Desert, we realized it's much cooler. Temperatures were up to
30 at most.
Yeah, 30 at most. It was 28, 30, 32 degrees Celsius, while in Windhoek, it was almost 40 degrees Celsius. So it is much cooler in Namib, the Namib Desert area. We could not believe it, but that is it. And I think mostly it's because of the cold winds from the ocean, the Benguela currents, I think.
Yes,
it's quite cold. It's quite cold. Even when you go to the Swakopmund area, you might need a sweater because the currents are quite cold. The winds are quite
cold.
Yes, I've said cold like 3 times. Now, also, when you are most of the Namibian roads are deserted because there's low population and there's long stretches of the roads before you get to a different town. So you might be tempted to overspeed. Truth is, South Africa and Namibia, the speed limits in South African and Namibian roads is 120 kilometers per hour and more because of the good roads and also the long distances. So you will just speed and there won't be any problem. But ensure you are careful when you are driving at 150 kilometers and above, because it's from that point it starts getting dangerous. Just in case an animal passes, you'll have a problem. Also, ensure your fog lights are on, because it will enable the oncoming vehicle to identify that there is a car coming, because also there is a lot of mirage there. Mirage is caused by different density of the air, if my physics serves me right, and there is a lot of that because of the heat. So ensure your fog lights are on. If a policeman finds you with no fog lights on, especially the traffic police, you'll be fined. Yes, you need to know that one.
Another observation about Namibia relates to public service vehicles. These are very uncommon in Namibia. What locals use are taxis, salon taxis. And most of them we notice that are numbered, and Vepa explained that those numbers tell people which routes they go to. So when you stop a taxi, you see the number, you would know if they are going on your route. They also don't have motorcycle taxis, which are very common here in East Africa. In fact, we have a lot of them.
We call them border borders.
We call them border borders. Very reliable, timely, and they are everywhere. You just walk into a road and you flag one down within seconds.
You've reached your destination. Very cheap also.
Very cheap also. Another observation relates to nightlife. Nightlife in Namibia was lit.
Before you go to the nightlife,
yes.
For that reason, you'll realize that there are so many people on the road flagging your private cars, asking for some lift. But if you'd observe clearly, you'd see that the people in Namibia like bakkies. Bakkies are pickups. Now, in one pickup, there was a time we were in a mall. In one pickup, the number of people who are coming out of that pickup, oh my God. Like one pickup, like a double cab, you'd see like more than 10 people coming out of that double cabin, and you're like, where have these people been? Too many people. I think it's because probably the taxis are quite expensive.
Yes.
And there are very few cars that travel long distances.
Plus, the population. You would not invest in public service vehicles if there are very few people around. You would not break even easily.
Yeah, like the matatus in Kenya, you will suffer.
Now to the nightlife. Very lit. Now, as we are comparing the Botswanian nightlife, the Namibian one play diverse music.
They love their traditional songs.
Yes, you would listen to their local music, international as well. Afrobeats here and there. We really had fun.
Yeah, we loved the Namibian nightlife. So one of the things that shocked me about Namibia, I went to Namibia because of one of the reasons I wanted to pass through Namibia is to see that church somewhere in Windhoek, just at the center of the city.
Christophe.
Yes. The architecture really fascinated me, and I really needed to understand why it was a church at the center of the city. I've seen that a lot of that in the documentaries and pictures I've seen in Europe, but not in Kenya, but not in Africa, sorry. So we realized that a lot of buildings in the cities in Namibia have Germanic architecture. Most of the architecture is European. In fact, if you go to like towns like, is it city like Swakopmund, you'll realize you just feel like you are in Europe, like, because the buildings are they are very different. They have the European influence in their architecture. And the cities are, even Windhoek, the cities are very clean and organized. And that is one thing I would really commend about Namibian cities. I really love that. And the architecture in Swakopmund, oh my God, you'll run out of places. You'll be overwhelmed if you like photos in those kind of architectural building. You'll be overwhelmed. You won't know where to take photos and where not to. For some of us, it became a problem. Now, also, it is difficult. Let me say, it's quite expensive to acquire property, especially the real estate in Namibia. We were told by VAPA that they are quite expensive. So many people that just choose to rent. Others, there's a lot of shared spaces, even homes there, because of the expensive homes and real estate properties. South Africa, Msanzi, or is it Mzansi? Msanzi. Yes. The Rainbow Nation. Now, when we went to South Africa, we had seen in videos that South Africa is developed. We always knew that South Africa is developed. But when we got there, from the moment we just crossed the border, we knew we were in a developed country. Guys, every time I see people they're arguing which country is the most developed in Africa, I usually just see people mentioning some countries and I'm like, I will not be part of that argument. Because when we go to South Africa, we really saw what a developed African country looks like. They are like, how can you describe it, Adi?
Night and day.
Yes, she says night and day. But honestly, South Africa is one of the most developed countries I've ever been to. I've not traveled to so many countries, but in Africa, I think they're somewhere on top. If they're somewhere, I think the top 3, if not at the top, because I'm not going to all African countries. Their roads, the infrastructures are so good. The infrastructure is so well maintained, like high class, everything. I believe probably South Africans who've never left South Africa might not appreciate their country that much because they've not seen anything different. But trust me, South Africa is very much developed.
Yes, when you come out here, you will notice that there's a huge difference.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. Even you'll realize that things like electricity, they have load shedding, yes, but most homes have electricity. They have a problem. There are some cities that have water problems, but they have clean flowing water. Even though they import some from Lesotho, yes, but they have clean flowing water everywhere. Did we see any countryside?
We did not see. It's quite modern. You see, when you come to Kenya, when you're driving along the way, you would see these mud huts, the traditional huts.
Manyatas.
Grass-thatched houses, mud-walled houses. We actually drove around...
Quite some distance
off the main highways, but we did not see those.
We did not see any.
But we'll be coming back to KZN later in the year, probably
Maybe they're such there, but we were told that they told us that we'll experience the Zulu, the traditional Zulu heritage, like culture. But
so we might see those huts, maybe.
Yes, someone said that, but also someone. I'm just talking about what I saw in the comment, but someone else said that there's no like the traditional Zulu type of like housing or culture like that is practiced that much there. So South Africa is very modern.
The cities are massive.
Yeah.
Now everyone talks about Joburg and Cape Town, but there are more cities that are equally big.
Pretoria is very big.
Port Elizabeth is big. We hear Durban is equally big.
Yeah.
East London, there's another city, I'm forgetting the name.
They have so many cities.
So many massive cities.
Yeah.
Now, South Africa has great infrastructure. When you look at their roads, they have wide, smooth roads, well labeled.
Several lanes.
You could get roads up to 7.
Yeah.
7+ lanes. Well maintained. If there's, you would encounter like road closures for a bit, they are maintaining it. If there's any wear and tear, they would maintain it instantly. That is something that impressed us. Another thing is the train network that connects Pretoria to Johannesburg. They have electric trains, really fast, really comfortable. It's commendable
and very efficient. And because of their smooth roads, people tend to drive at a very high speed. In fact, when most of the speed limits on the highway is 120 kilometers per hour and above, but most people drive beyond 120 kilometers per hour because they have very good cars, very powerful cars. So if you drive any slower, you'll realize that South African drivers can get angry and they can really hoot at you.
Yes, and really flash, like get out of the road.
Yeah.
And the beauty with multiple lanes, if you're a slow driver, move to the farthest left. If you're familiar with the roads, to not cause congestion.
Yeah, that's the good thing. We cannot talk about South Africa without mentioning load shedding. I'm sure every South African who's here is waiting to see what I'll say about load shedding. So load shedding is periods when there's no electricity, not because there is an issue with the power lines or anything, but it's just something that we've seen in South Africa. In Kenya, usually we have power throughout unless maybe there is a problem with the power lines or maybe some generators or turbines or something. But in South Africa, it's usually scheduled. There are periods when it's scheduled that maybe you'll not have electricity for 3 hours, 4 hours, or something of that sort. We actually experienced it when we were in Pretoria. We don't know if it happens in other cities, but the fact that it's scheduled, you can work around the schedule, as opposed to just having a sudden power blackout and you're wondering when the electricity will be back. So it is a phenomenon that I think it's majored in South Africa.
Yes.
And I think it's a way to ensure that there is proper distribution of electricity. Yeah, because the population is quite big and almost every house has electricity. So there is that.
You can overload the power grid.
Yeah. So I think that's that's the reason for that. Now, something else, in South Africa, we realized that by 6 p.m., most shops, malls, and many
Eateries.
Many eateries, basically,
Restaurants.
most shops and most businesses close by 6. Latest 7. That was a shock to us because in Kenya, even if right now I want to get some chicken and chips, I can get it right now. There are supermarkets that work 24 hours. There are some eateries fast food, whatever's that work 24 hours. We have a lot of 24-hour services. So it's always business anytime. So we were so surprised. If you travel to South Africa, ensure by 6 you have bought whatever you needed from the shops. Otherwise, you'll get stranded. Even finding accommodation past 6 is not easy because people do not walk around past 6. I don't know if it is because they want to have a work-life balance or
Actually, someone said it's about work-life balance. The same way on Sunday, you'd find a lot of shops, if not all shops. You'd find us at an entire town
Dead.
with no people, dead with no people.
We found that in which town?
What was the name?
Just before Jeffreys Bay, or just before Mossel Bay.
I'm forgetting the name, but we did not find any food.
Yes, the one with lighthouse.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is it's quite, I would say it's not favorable. It's not favorable. I just wish people worked a bit late. But however, someone else also told us it's because of security. Because there are a lot of, at night there are a lot of robbery and very horrible activities happening, just like any other city. At night is when many things happen. But now for their own security, they ensure that many places are closed quite early. That was a shock to us.
Another thing we observed in South Africa is that they've adopted lots of modern technologies. Like the first thing we were surprised about, how you tap your card on that, what is called that PDQ machine, and it just deducts money without prompting you to input your PIN. At first we were a bit skeptical because it's something we had not seen it here before. Perhaps it's being introduced, but we had not seen it before. So tapping cards was a bit new to us.
It feels posh.
Yeah, it's posh. And a bit risky, I would think. Like if someone gets a hold of my card, they could be able to buy anything.
Because at times you're not required to key in the
PIN.
The PIN. Yeah.
Yes. And on that, despite that, about the money transaction systems, we were surprised to see that from the moment we entered Zerust, we could see long queues at the ATMs. People were queuing to get physical money, which is quite unusual. When you compare it to Kenya, we've integrated mobile money with our banking systems in such a way that I would be able to transfer money from my bank to my mobile money and transact with that.
Yeah.
So I would not necessarily need physical cash to transact.
In fact, some of us can't remember the last time we held like
Paper money, yes.
We can't remember. Also, online banking, I think, is not so much embraced in South Africa.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, it could be one of the reasons for the long queues.
Or maybe people themselves just want physical money. Maybe it's a personal preference.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of ways of transacting that we saw there. And then, and still on matters of technology, internet. Internet was quite expensive. Like, if we compare to what we are used to, in Kenya, you could get 1 GB with as low as
20 shillings.
20 Kenya shillings. That is like 0.02 USD. 1 GB you browse
less, yeah,
for an hour. Or maybe you get installed monthly package that you use in your home for your TV, for your unlimited Wi-Fi. So we found Wi-Fi or internet to be a bit expensive in South Africa.
Yeah. So something else we notice about South Africa is that they practice a lot of large-scale farming. You could see when you were driving towards Cape Agulhas, and even when we left from Maseru as we were heading towards Port Elizabeth, there were huge chunks of farms. Maybe some of them, you'd see that maybe they are cattle ranches. Some of them, they are like hay farms, even ostrich farms. They were quite huge farms. Like in Clan Williams, there were plenty of ranches for citrus fruits, oranges, what do you call it?
Lemon, apples.
Yes, Kenyans are beneficiaries of that because we import a lot of citrus fruits, even grapes, apples from South Africa. But now one thing we realize is that they also do a lot of irrigation. In places where there is no enough rain, they do a lot of irrigation on those huge chunks of land for them to be able to get the produce. Now, the irrigation is to an extent that we felt like maybe they take too much water from these rivers and somehow choke the rivers dry. If you can see maybe Oliphant's River and Orange River, as they originate from the it's called
Drakensberg, yes.
in Lesotho. We had just crossed Maseru and we are heading towards what do you call it, Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
We crossed those rivers in Garden Route. We crossed those rivers and you could see a lot of water. But by the time the rivers were crossing over to the Namibian side, like even Orange River, there was just a small stream of water left. Probably there is evaporation because of high temperatures, but also the farms around were draining a lot of water from the rivers. So it is one thing we observed. South Africans say that the rivers were not really choked, but let me tell you, from an outsider's point of view, the rivers are getting choked for sure. Now that we're speaking about plants, another culture shock. Marijuana is legal in South Africa. I don't know how they regulate it, but it's very legal in South Africa. We were surprised. We actually saw it in the union buildings. Those are government buildings. We did not expect it at all. That was a shock, yes. A proper one. I kept going back there and showing you guys, you have seen it, you have seen it. Yes. And then we just realized that there are some bars where they actually sell. There are places where people go there to smoke. They sell their products. They are sold in like cookies, even in malls. Cookies, gummies, like all forms of which that particular item can be consumed. It's just all over, and it's legal. So if you like such kind of things, those kinds of things, or you like the medical one, you know the place to go. Yes. I think it's the only African country where it is legal.
I think so. I believe so.
I think so. I'm not sure about Ethiopia.
In countries like ours, probably.
It could be legal in Ethiopia. There is shashamane.
It could
and
be.
I'm told it's very potent.
It could be.
I don't know, but...
In Kenya, you could be arrested for so many years for even carrying a small amount of it.
Yeah.
So imagine our shock when we just find it being sold openly like that.
It was so shocked.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Another thing that came through as a shock to us was South Africa's climate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we come from a tropical climate where you would expect temperatures to be between 18 to 20 to 23. Now, the hottest places would be the coastal area, and it would not exceed 30.
And northeastern.
And northeastern.
35?
Between 35 at most.
Yeah.
Yes. But now South Africa is one of those African countries that actually experience all the 4 seasons. They have winter, they have summer.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually went there during summer, and we had expected it to be
quite hot
throughout the regions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we came to experience was that South Africa's climate is a bit dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You notice when we were in Pretoria, we experienced temperatures so low as 3 degrees Celsius.
That was the first time I ever experienced such extreme temperatures.
And I knew I could never survive winter in my life. We had lined ourselves with a lot of clothes.
But still
we were freezing. And then you walk out there and you see people wearing T-shirts. And you wonder...
Adaptation.
Is this adaptation or those temperatures were extreme?
Oh, we were dying. We were dying.
But the rest of the places, it was relatively hot. We also expected the weather to be dynamic in Cape Town, but somehow we did not experience rain. Was it rainy, cold?
It was a bit cold, but it's cold 1 minute, the next minute it's a bit warm. So we always carried a sweater around. But I think I'm told we were favored.
We were favored.
The weather favored us.
Because some people say they experienced 3 different weather patterns in a day.
Yeah.
You would wake up, it's rainy. You dress so warmly. The next thing you know, it's
so
hot. Very sunny, so hot.
And then it's all foggy.
The sun disappears.
Yeah.
Yes, so we were favored. Now, to any traveler going there, don't expect, like now it's summer, you'd expect to have warm conditions. The weather is a bit dynamic.
Yeah, be prepared for anything.
Yes.
Because especially the towns we went to, Port Elizabeth, Cape Agulhas, it would be warm during the day, but the winds were so cold. Yes. Oh my God. South Africa is mostly windy. Now, South Africa is one of the countries that has the most diverse landscapes ever. And that is what gives it a plus, a very big one, in matters tourism. You'll come across gorges. There are very beautiful forests/green forests. There are mountainous areas. There are beautiful valleys, viewpoints. Oh my God. South Africa has everything. They have beautiful beaches. They have sand dunes. What have I left out?
There are this symmetric, when you're just driving around, there are these dams, man-made dams, natural dams with beautiful backdrops of symmetric hills.
Yeah.
There are streams, there are dams around.
Did I mention their sunset?
Oh, magnificent.
So, because of this landscape, I think the government has ensured that they have optimized their landscapes and natural resources to attract tourism, both local and international tourism. You'll find that they have so many viewpoints of different things. Maybe there could be maybe a valley or a formation of the mountain and all that. They have very many viewpoints. They have so many nature trails. And also, I would just say their main roads, even the highways, pass somewhere near those very beautiful views to ensure that even if you are driving, you can stop somewhere and just check out and enjoy the views. So they have really optimized tourism, and I really commend them for that. And it's something that maybe the Kenyan government should pick, and
we should embrace that.
Yeah, actually. We should really embrace that. So in matters tourism, we also realize that most people who travel around South Africa are from other countries. Very few South Africans actually travel. The few that we came across told us that they've never considered road trips. Most of the time, if they want to go to Cape Town, maybe they want to Table Mountain, they want to go to see Table Mountain, they fly in. Maybe you're from Joburg, they just fly into Cape Town and they do whatever they brought them and they just go back. I think the best, according to me, the best way to experience South Africa is by road.
Yes.
And I would really ask South Africans to try and do the road trips, because just ask yourself, why would we come all the way? We come from miles and miles away. We came all the way to do road trip because we know that the only way to enjoy that country and to enjoy anything else beautiful is just by road. So South Africans, I hope our trip has encouraged you guys to do some local tourism.
Yes.
Because everyone else is enjoying your country. You might just as well enjoy your country. And remember, the charges for the parks and everything for South African and the SADC countries is quite fair as compared to people who are from other countries. So South Africans, I hope you're considering that. And we're coming to South Africa in November. I hope you guys will join us. We'll do a road trip there.
Now, one of the challenges we experienced in South Africa relates to accommodation. Like we mentioned earlier, beyond 6, it would be really hard for you to get anything. And accommodation is one of them. Now, most of the times we would inquire on like a booking platform like Airbnb. You would message the host and ask if you can book their unit. And most of the times they would just block their calendar without any explanation. And we found that a bit problematic.
Especially along the garden route?
Yes, along the garden route.
Yeah.
Now we discovered a way to hack that. So we would write a long introductory message saying that we are Kenyans, we are road tripping across Africa. There are 4 of us. We'll be arriving at a particular town quite late, and we were wondering if you could accommodate us for such and such a time.
Yeah.
And that actually increased our acceptance rate.
It did magic.
Most of the times we would arrive at those accommodations, they would approve. We would arrive there even late as 10 p.m. and the host would be waiting for us. And they were curious about our journey and all that. And
if they would not make it that night, maybe they would come in the morning to just inquire, how did you guys come this far? Why have you come this far? Like, they could not believe that we just drove all the way to see all these countries, especially the ladies.
Yes.
They would be like, very few ladies do that. Most of the time, they are older people. You guys are so young. So it really helped.
Yeah.
We don't understand why they used to block the calendar. As in, you'll just see it's available, and then from now it's just blocked. Nobody explains anything, or they just say, we just received our regular client. We could not understand that. If you've experienced that, guys, just tell us. We might want to know why it was the case, because we intend to go back to garden route, so we want to be prepared. Yeah.
Another observation we made is that South Africa is quite self-sufficient in terms of natural resources. It produces its own food, it produces its own electricity. What else? Because we saw some natural gas being mined somewhere.
I also think they have nuclear power, and they produce their own petroleum. Something I'm not sure about that, but they have so many resources. They have minerals that they usually process, like gold and I think diamond. They process it before they export it. They have car assemblers. Basically, I would say South Africa has so many resources. No wonder it is so developed. And I just hope that South Africans appreciate it as much as we do, because that is a gift. Especially if it is natural, it is a gift that many countries do not have. And also, being able to utilize your own resources is something else that is a problem in most African countries. You could have the resources, but you don't know how to process it, or to even mine anything, or to even utilize your resources. So South Africans, you are so blessed, and I hope you guys appreciate that. So guys, I think we've spoken enough. Our mouths are literally dry. We've taken water a couple of times. We've walked here and there. We feel like our butts are flat, but
this has been a long one.
It has been a long one, and we just feel like the information would be important to you if you'll be traveling to those countries, or if you'd be interested in knowing what else is out there.
Yes.
I hope the video was educative and helpful. So guys, if you feel like the video was as you expected or not, like the video. Even if you didn't like the video, please just hit that anyway. Like the video anyway, and comment below on what you think about those countries that we've said, or anything that you feel like we missed out, or if your experience was any different, please write it on the comment section. Don't forget to share the video with your friends, because remember, we are doing so many other road trips and we want you guys to join us. So share the video with your friends so that you can get more audience. It's a way of supporting the channel. And if you'd like any itinerary that we've of any road trip that we've gone to, please contact us. We'll be able to customize it to your liking, or we can, if you want an identical one, we can send it to you at a small fee. Join us in our trips also. So I'm Liv Kenya, and this is Hadia. And guys, bye for now. See you in the next video.
Bye.